A big hello to all of our besties watching Today all day. We are so glad you're with us on this Tuesday morning.
We missed you. We hope you guys had a great Labor Day. Savannah and I are both back from vacation. You know what they say, reunited.
And it feels so good.
We're delighted you're watching Today in 30. You had a big morning in Studio 1A, so here's what's coming up.
Yeah, we're going to start with the latest COVID concerns after a busy holiday weekend of travel, large gatherings, too. Plus, a dangerous new variant is popping up from coast to coast. We have everything you need to know.
And then we've got two exclusive interviews to bring you. The first one is with Bill Cosby's accuser. She's breaking her silence on his controversial release from prison.
And then Monica Lewinsky joined us right here in studio to talk about her decision to get involved in that highly anticipated new series all about the Clinton impeachment, which she says she's hoping folks will take away from it.
And then as much as we want to hold on to summer, we got to get ready for fall, and that means colder weather, that means cold and flu season. We got ways to boost your immunity.
So let's get started, shall we? It is time for Today in 30.
NBC's Erin McLaughlin joins us now with details this morning. Hey, Erin, good morning.
Good morning, Hoda. As millions ventured out this holiday weekend, the Delta variant was still filling hospitals. Daily COVID infections now more than 4 times higher than they were this time last year. Daily deaths nearly twice as high. And health officials worry the worst is yet to come. This morning, busy airports and packed gatherings over the holiday weekend, fueling fears of a new COVID surge later this month. This fall's expected return to the office delayed for many because of the Delta variant. Now the WHO warning of the new Mu variant, found in 39 countries, including the U.S. Over the holiday weekend, Americans craving a sense of normalcy. College football fans crowded into stadiums. More than 86,000 filled the Florida Gators Stadium. No testing, masks, or vaccines required. Despite breaking COVID records in August, Florida was the top choice for travelers going out of state. Now some doctors are taking a stand. One Miami physician telling her patients if they're not vaccinated, she's not seeing them in person.
Everybody knows somebody that died from COVID. This is a problem that really everybody needs to help out with.
In the wake of natural disasters across the country, new concern over COVID outbreaks in evacuation shelters. Just miles from the ferocious Caldor fire in Northern California, physician assistant Ariana Campbell is part of a medical strike team, going into shelters and assessing evacuees for the virus.
You know, only half of my population is fully vaccinated here, and that's posed a lot of risk.
With millions of kids heading back to class this week, many schools are already dealing with outbreaks. 1/5 of all districts in Kentucky temporarily closing because of infections.
Let's go have a talk.
In Arizona, the debate over COVID protocols becoming heated at one elementary school. 3 men threatening the principal with citizen's arrest.
And I am going to have both of your staff arrested. And you arrested as well.
After one of their sons was told to quarantine because of possible COVID exposure.
And one of them was carrying zip ties. Military black, large zip ties, and standing in my doorway.
The father was later arrested for trespassing.
This is the protocol we were supposed to follow.
We're back now with In Depth Today and a U.S. broadcast exclusive.
Andrea Constand speaking out for the first time about Bill Cosby's release from prison. You'll remember it was her allegations of sexual assault that led to Cosby's initial conviction back in 2018, a conviction that was overturned on procedural grounds in June.
Senior national correspondent Kate Snow traveled to Canada to talk with Andrea about all that's happened and her new book called The Moment, Standing Up to Bill Cosby, Speaking Up for Women. Kate, good morning. You and Andrea go back many years.
We do go back. Good morning, guys. I sat down with her back in 2018 in an exclusive interview that was deeply personal, raw, and revealing. In that, she shared her story that became a Dateline hour. So, yes, we have some history, Savannah. Things have changed dramatically, though, with the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania's decision and Bill Cosby's release. But as you'll see, Andrea has a serenity and a renewed purpose. She said again and again she will not obsess over the things that she can't control, and that includes Bill Cosby. And she shared with me her thoughts when she heard the news about the court's decision.
I was really shocked. Disappointed.
What does it say about the American justice system?
That it's flawed?
The Pennsylvania Supreme Court found the district attorney back in 2005 had essentially promised Bill Cosby he would never be criminally charged, though he made no formal agreement. So when Cosby was charged 10 years later, it was a violation of his due process rights.
How can a district attorney enforce a decision on a backroom handshake? How can you give any credibility to that?
All the time you put in, the years that you put in, what you put your family through on this journey. I wonder if I might feel like, wow, was it even all worth it?
I've come way too far to go back to that place, to wonder whether it's all worth it or to have regrets. It was worth it. But it was worth it because I didn't feel alone. I had a whole community, a whole army of women and other survivors, strangers, family, friends, who were right there with me.
In her new book, The Moment, Andrea Constand writes that she just wanted to be believed.
Bill Cosby walks free, but it doesn't change the fact that my testimony was believed.
Why did you want to write this book?
I had a story to tell, but also it was what was going to bring me true healing.
She's found that healing in a new home she just moved to in the countryside outside Toronto. For her own health, she tries to avoid news about Bill Cosby. But she couldn't miss this scene after Cosby arrived home.
When you watched him celebrate, how did that feel?
Disgusting. It didn't surprise me, given the level of the arrogance and having no remorse during the time he was incarcerated. Absolutely zero remorse for what he did to me.
He has said that he will never show remorse because he, in his words, never did anything wrong.
He's a sexually violent predator who basically was let out of jail.
Cosby has said he's ready to go on tour again.
Waiting for the okay for my fans.
I don't really care, but anybody that gives him a platform to speak, to joke, rape is not a joke.
She knows Cosby has defenders.
Felicia Rashad, his co-star on The Cosby Show, she made headlines with a tweet after his release that said, "A terrible wrong is being righted, a miscarriage of justice is corrected."
It's disappointing to hear somebody who is in such a powerful position herself not to support survivors.
After backlash, Rashad wrote, "My remarks were in no way directed towards survivors of sexual assault. I vehemently oppose sexual violence."
Good. I'm really happy to hear that.
Would you speak to her if she wanted to learn more about you or talk to you?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Andrea is concerned that what's happened in her case could have a chilling effect on survivors of sexual misconduct.
And as I sit here today, I want to send a message to not let this deter you from coming forward, from getting the peace and the healing and the closure that you need.
She's now running a foundation called Hope, Healing, and Transformation with an app for survivors containing research, legal assistance, and a holistic healing program.
I will fight. I will be a voice for the change that is needed. Whatever country, state, wherever I'm needed, I will be in service there to fight.
Monica Lewinsky is back in the spotlight this morning with a highly anticipated new series premiering on FX tonight, Impeachment, American Crime Story. Monica is co-producer on the series, which covers her affair with then-President Bill Clinton and his subsequent impeachment. We're going to talk with Monica exclusively in just a moment, but before we get to our conversation, a look back at her journey. An affair.
Hi, handsome.
Hey.
And a betrayal.
I'm kind of in something.
Tell me about him.
It's just he's unavailable.
Someone long distance. Someone from work. Someone important.
Impeachment, American Crime Story has all the ingredients of a good drama. But in 1998, it was the reality for 24-year-old Monica Lewinsky.
Can you repeat your comments?
That's when an affair between Lewinsky and then-President Bill Clinton was revealed following a betrayal of friendship. Linda Tripp secretly recorded Monica confessing to her relationship. Those recordings and news of the affair posted on the Drudge Report.
Reports of a new sex scandal involving President Clinton, a young White House intern,
ultimately leading to the impeachment of President Clinton. And the public shaming of Monica.
Overnight, I went from being a completely private figure to a publicly humiliated one worldwide. I was patient zero of losing a personal reputation on a global scale almost instantaneously.
Lewinsky avoided the spotlight for well over a decade until she went viral, speaking out about the price of shame in a TED Talk. What did it feel like in that moment to come out and reclaim your story?
I can't even begin to tell you and what it feels like to be able to give a purpose to my past and to use these painful experiences to help other people.
She found her purpose first as an anti-bullying advocate, and more recently as a TV and film producer, co-producing the new FX series covering the darkest days of her life.
That's me, that's my face.
Now reclaiming her story through storytelling. Monica, good morning. It's good to see you. We've talked before over the years, but it's always been about a project or something, and now here we are talking about that time, and one of the most searing times of your life. How are you feeling right now in this moment?
I'm nervous. It's live TV. But other than that, you know, I've really worn two hats in this project, and so as a producer, I'm very proud. I'm really proud of the project, of the show, and as a subject, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
You know, I'm nervous for people to see some of the worst moments of my life and a lot of behavior that I regret. And if you remember your 20s, not that long ago, it was pretty cringeworthy.
Well, I think a lot of people will connect with that and relate to us. Help us understand how you got involved and why you wanted to get involved. I wondered if it was a matter of you wanting to be able to kind of tell your story on your own terms, and you wanted the story to be told, or was it more like, hey, they're going to do this anyway, so I might as well have a seat at the table?
You know, it's I've been incredibly lucky the last 6 or 7 years to really be able to reclaim my narrative. And so the opportunity to have a seat at the table around that was really meaningful to me. And then, of course, you know, Ryan Murphy. So the opportunity to work with him. And when Ryan and I first had dinner, sort of after the idea of the show came up, I really came to understand from him the vision he had around showing this from a perspective of three women who had been on the sidelines of power at the time. And that was compelling to me.
It's not a documentary. No. It's a dramatic series, but I found watching it, you know, you do wonder, especially because it has your blessing, how much of this is real? How much dramatic license is there? Did these conversations really take place like that? Did you really call Linda Tripp a treacherous B word? You know, like,
yes.
How real is it?
People will understand when they see the series why. Yes. But, you know, it is a dramatization, but there is an enormous amount of emotional truth. And I think that's what was really important. I think people, you know, a lot of people know about this story, but people are going to be very surprised when they watch it of things that they didn't know happened. I mean, I myself there were so many margin notes I had in the scripts of like, did this really happen? So even I learned things.
And to be clear, you gave notes on the scripts. You were a producer.
Correct.
You didn't have veto power.
No, I didn't. I you know, gave notes on the scripts, and Ryan was really incredible, and the team, and Brad and Nina and Sarah Burgess, the writer, that it was very much, you know, I think the process was I felt heard, but being heard and listened to doesn't mean you're always going to get your own way. Yeah. And it was challenging at times to wear two different hats as a subject and producer. But
yes, sometimes what's best for the show might not have been what you would have wanted to see.
No, exactly.
Although there's a scene, and it was sort of an infamous moment in this whole scandal where you flash your thong underwear at the president.
I know.
But here's what's interesting about you, Monica. You told the producers you should include that scene. You pushed for it.
I did. Well, I was, you know, as a subject, I was incredibly grateful when I saw that it was missing. But I realized as a producer that particularly because I was involved, that the credibility of the show would have been significantly affected. And I didn't think that was fair to anyone else. But more than that was really, I shouldn't get a pass. So, and that is hard, you know, a lot more therapy now, but, but I thought that was important. I think truth and context were really missing at the beginning of 1998 and throughout the process, and humanity. And I hope that those are all things that we brought to the show.
Anyone who has ever been a 23-year-old woman in the late 90s, as I have, you have, you can really kind of connect with aspects of that personality and the way you think you know everything, but you really don't. Were there parts that were kind of painful to go back or to watch?
Oh, it was, I do not recommend watching your early 20s be dramatized on TV. So, I mean, especially in this instance where the truth really was stranger than fiction, and moments where I just thought, oh gosh, don't smile back. Don't talk to her. Don't confess. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't make bad decisions. I think that was hard. Really hard to see.
The story affects a lot of people, not just you, Linda Tripp, who has recently passed, the Clintons. Would you want Bill Clinton to see this series?
I don't even know how to really answer that. So, yeah.
Do you ever wish that you could speak to him? Do you feel like he owes you an apology after all these years?
You know, there was I think there was a long period before my life changed, the last 6 or 7 years, where I felt a lot in terms of there not being this resolution. And I'm very grateful that I don't have that feeling anymore. I don't need it. He should want to apologize in the same way that I want to apologize any chance I get to people that I've hurt and my actions have hurt.
You've also got a documentary. It's called 15 Minutes of Shame, and it looks at cancel culture. And I think you have such a poignant line. You say, if you woke up one day and everyone in the world knew your name, what kind of world would you want to live in?
Right.
Have things really changed all that much? What if this scandal happened in today's culture?
Well, I think there are two things. So if the scandal had happened in today's culture, the crisis had happened, I think it would be different. I don't know that it would be as different as people want to think it would be. But we are having conversations about power differentials in different ways. People, it's not just people in power who have voices. That's one of the beauty and the beast of social media, is that more people, more people can be heard. So I might have had a little bit of support. But I think, back to the doc, we're kind of what it really dovetails to is this sense that we're living in a culture and a world now where we're drowning in shame. And so we're taking a 360-degree look at this public shaming, public humiliation culture, and really trying to understand, ask the questions, how did we get here and where are we going?
You really have found a purpose to the pain that you went through, and you have found a way to weave your experiences into a real calling. I went back and looked at actually your authorized biography, and you said in it, when will this all be over? I want my life back. And at the same time, I'm scared I'll never be able to have the life I dream of. You talked about a family, and you said, maybe, just maybe, contentment. And I think a lot of people care about you, Monica, and they love to see you doing so well. Do you feel like you've found that peace and contentment?
I'm incredibly grateful. I'm really, really grateful. And now you made me emotional. But it's, there were a lot of moments where I wasn't sure I would make it through. And I have an incredible family and a lot of friends and a lot of helpers. So I think that really the takeaway, if anybody who's watching this is struggling or feels they've been shamed, is that you can get through it. So I think that really is the most important thing. And I have a lot of things that make me smile in my life right now. So very grateful.
You can get through it and you can shine. Monica, thank you.
All right, today we are kicking off a new series called Ready, Set, September. We're going to help you get geared up for the month ahead.
Okay, and as much as we want to hold on to summer, we have to get ready for fall, and that means cold and flu season. One way to do that is by strengthening our immune system, especially now.
So we called up NBC's medical contributor and our pal, Dr. Natalie Azar, to share some tips on boosting immunity, and some of these may actually surprise you.
Yes, well, I mean, I think we think, okay, we need to go buy a bunch of stuff, or, you know, but it's not that. There are things that we can control, like sleep, daily habits, right?
Yes, definitely daily habits. And these are the big three: sleep, exercise, and meditation. Okay. Sleep needs to be a priority. If your age is 18 to 64, you need about 7 to 9 hours. That averages out to 8, everybody. If you're over age 65, it's about 7 to 8 hours. Exercise, about 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity. That means you can still have a conversation. And about 2 days of weight training per week as well. And for meditation, people don't often think about meditating as doing more than just calming you, but decreasing stress and decreasing your blood pressure and your heart rate. Guess what? That relieves anxiety. And when it relieves anxiety, it's good for your immune system.
And meditation is more than just sitting quietly, because I think sometimes you just think, well, I just sat here for 10 minutes and that was good enough.
And then you're thinking about it.
But that doesn't do the trick.
And by the way, like, have you guys done it? I mean, I remember like a couple years ago, Chanel and I were all into really trying to meditate and stuff. I mean, it's mindful meditation, and you have to sit there at least 5 minutes. And every time you're not supposed to be angry when the intrusive thoughts come in, but you're supposed to send them away again.
Nicely.
It's not easy.
Okay.
Food.
Yeah, foods are big, and you need things like, I feel like I want to feel better. And I know, look, at the end of the day, when I feel great at the end, I always try to I think about, like, what did I have? What was it? How did I do that?
Yes.
But how do you get that good feeling?
So here's the thing. You can boost your immune system with food. Now we talk about protecting against COVID and flu and everything like that, and we talk about this well-balanced diet. Well, what are some of the key components of that? Vitamin C. Vitamin C is an essential nutrient, which means we do not make it. You have to ingest it. And I always tell folks, try to do it in food, right? You can do leafy greens and citrus fruits rather than just taking a supplement, because there's so many other benefits to that. Prebiotic as opposed to a probiotic. And the difference here is that a prebiotic is essentially food for the healthy gut bacteria. Your digestion's healthy.
So what's
that's going to spill over. That's things like asparagus, jicama, banana. All of those things actually contain carbohydrates that we don't digest well. So guess what? If we don't digest it, it finds its way to the bacteria in our gut and feeds it and keeps it healthy. Antioxidants. Think of as colorful as you can get, right? Your plate should be filled with as many colorful fruits and vegetables. There you're going to find your antioxidants. And lastly, allicin, which is the component in garlic that is such a good immune boost. You should either cut or crush or roast your garlic, and you can have some every day if you can tolerate it, or you can take a supplement.
If you don't, because you say you eat all your good stuff, a lot of people just they get busy and they can't.
And is that the best way to do it?
So most experts nutritionists and things like that, we say try to get your nutrients through food, because you're not just, if you're eating a piece of fruit, you're not just getting the vitamin C, you're getting the fiber, you're getting all the other things. That's why we usually say that. Of course, if you have a vitamin deficiency or you have like bowel disease and you're not absorbing, different story. Then a supplement may very well be necessary for you.
We should look at.
What if you're just busy? Because sometimes you can't eat all the good things all day.
And so so of course, like multivitamins, you're just getting your RDA and things like that. One of the biggest ones lately is curcumin, which is the active ingredient in the spice turmeric. I have been telling my arthritis patients to take it. You asked me. I'm going to start taking it too for my aches and pains. Really can reduce inflammation. A lot of the other ones, we'll kind of go down the list. I think we have it on a graphic here. Ginger, obviously, fish oil, omega-3s, so important. Resveratrol. I want to make a point about this. This is the active component in red wine, but it's also in the skin of blueberries and grapes and things like that. Most of us would say try to get it through those foods. I'm not telling you to drink red wine, but there is some health benefit there. And of course, essential oils.
What are essential oils?
So there are so many of them. We listed a couple here: green tea, lavender, eucalyptus. They also can have anti-inflammatory benefit. And so you say, well, how do you use them? The majority of people do it in a diffuser, right? So you have a lavender scent and you can just sort of smell that. You can also use it as massage therapy, but be careful. Do a patch test first. It has to be diluted. You know, you don't want to, hurt yourself or burn yourself. There's a few that might be indicated to gargle, but for the most part, they're not meant to be taken orally. But they can also really help for things like sleep and stuff like that we're talking about. Exactly.
Dr.
Natalie, thank you. We feel better already.
I do. We'll start implementing. We're on it. All right, we got a good idea. Come back tomorrow. We'll have another great morning. We got the cast of Cinderella. They'll be with us.
Oh, can't wait for that. Have a great Tuesday. We'll see y'all tomorrow.